Alright, so this is a 2019 Tesla Model 3 dual motor performance. But this one, you were telling me, it's kind of like a stealthy one because it doesn't have the performance wheels. It's got the normal wheels.
Yeah, they call them the Aero wheels.
Okay.
So you'll get better range with the Aero wheels. And for somebody who's not interested in having the squatty tire, it has the standard sidewall on it, so it'll ride a little nicer. You don't have to worry about potholes as much.
Yeah, and I've literally been driving this for about 3 minutes, if that, and I'm still like the regen. It's like totally. It's like relearning how to coast and drive, because if you let off, like when I let off when I normally would, it feels a little bit too much. But like you said, you get used to it, and that's the other thing. The
50
speed.
to 30?
Yeah, like it's hard to really gauge your speed because it's so quiet and so smooth. So are we in performance mode right now, or are we just kind of like...
I just have it in the regular mode. We can put it in track mode later. The basic difference is it'll heat up the battery and it'll disengage. Hang on.
Wow. That was like half throttle, and it's not even in like the performance mode, right?
Well, yeah, the basic difference on track mode is just going to be that it'll enable you to drift if you want to on track and that types of things. I don't know if it necessarily increases the horsepower any.
Okay.
Currently at 473 horsepower.
Yeah, because you haven't received the update yet.
Yeah, there's a 5% update. The difference between Tesla and about any other vehicle is you get these over-the-air updates like you would on your cell phone. So,
yeah.
And they'll come out periodically, and the 5% is not only horsepower, but it's also range. So now they're projecting the range to be more like 325.
Wow. So, I mean, if you think about, like, put that into perspective, like me, if I want to get 25 horsepower out of my car, you know, that's an intake and a tune, and that's like $800.
Oh, wow.
But that's a download.
Yeah, yeah, and it's a free download because we have unlimited internet, too. So just throw that in.
It's just like a totally different world. Like, it's totally changing. To me, it's changing how we're going to think about cars in the future completely. But I mean, as far as ownership, I know you've taken a few trips already, and how did having a fully electric vehicle, how did that affect your trip you went to North Carolina?
Yeah, we've been to North Carolina, and we've also been to Cape Cod, East Coast.
Okay.
So both trips, it's great because you just put it in navigation where you're going to go, and the car will literally do it all for you. It'll tell you where you're going to stop at, how long it'll take to charge, even how much it'll cost you to charge. So some cost per kilowatt hour are cheaper in different areas. So you literally can look at it and go, you know what, I can save, which is pennies anyways, but hey, we'll go to the next exit because my wife wants to go to Starbucks while we're there. So we'll just go to the next exit. It's not a big deal. It makes us personally travel easier. We travel a little slower.
Really?
We have time to actually, we really enjoy it. Because it'll take a few minutes to charge, but typically I think the most we've ever had to wait was about a half hour, but most times it's 10 minutes. So you go, you get a coffee, you go to the bathroom, clean up a little bit, and you're ready to go.
Yeah, that's like, especially with me with kids, a fuel stop is 10 to 15, 20 minutes anyways.
Yeah.
Because everybody gets out, goes to the bathroom, you fill up the car, you buy snacks, you do, so it really didn't have that big of an effect, except for it's cheaper now, right?
Yeah, so we went from our trip to Cape Cod. We actually stayed at 2 bed and breakfast on the way out, so this will play into it a little bit. We have one of the Tesla networks they have is destination charging, where you can go to certain areas and get free charging. Now it's slower, but let's say you're going to the Hampton Inn that we went to out in Pennsylvania. Had free charging, so we went there that night, charged the car, got up in the morning, we had 300 miles of range, went to our next spot. And the car will lay it out for you. You don't really have to do much with that, but we also had a couple places we wanted to stop that had free destination charging. There's a distillery out in New York, maybe it's Connecticut, it's called Treetop Distillery.
Okay.
They have free charging there. We pulled in, there's 500 people, there's a line to get in this place, and they go, oh, Tesla, come up front. They pull us up front, plug the car in, and we go in and have some refreshments.
See, I wonder how long until that goes away, though, where it's like you get kind of treated like royalty, like, oh, you come on up.
Yeah. There was one other car there. There was like 3 or 4 Chargers though. But anyhow, to make a long story short, we went from Fort Wayne, Indiana, to Cape Cod on $11 charge.
And then your North Carolina trip, where you didn't do any of those destination ones.
No, we just did typical what we call supercharging. Yeah.
Yeah, and that one was relatively cheap too, wasn't it?
Yeah. I think we stopped 3 times on the way down because you really wind up stopping about every 200 miles or so, maybe 250. And typically, somebody in the family's got to use the restroom or something like that. So we actually found Chargers that we liked what was around there. The one in Charleston has a Starbucks, so we wanted to stop at that one. So we would actually stop more often than it would suggest. But I think we spent like $12 going down there, something like that.
I mean, still $12 to get to North Carolina. I mean, that's
we usually spend in our Acura we'll spend $50, $60 easily.
Yeah. So it really will add up over time.
And the biggest thing that people don't think about is on a regular what they call an ICE car, combustion vehicle.
Yeah.
You have all kinds of maintenance to do. Well, there's nothing on this. There's no oil to change. There's no transmission fluid to change. There's no any kind of tune-up that ever needs to be done.
All you have to worry about is like consumables like brake pads and tires, wiper blades.
Tire. The only thing you actually add in the whole vehicle besides wiper blades and tires is you do have washer fluid. You fill that every now and then. But literally, there's nothing else that needs maintained. They do recommend at about 100,000 miles to change the coolant in the vehicle that cools and regulates the temperature in the battery.
Oh, okay.
And Tesla will do that. It's about $700. But there are cars right now with 300,000 and 400,000 miles that have never changed the fluid in them.
Huh.
But they recommend that because it really helps extend the battery life.
All right, so we're going to try a little launch here. Gosh. So I can't wait to see how it handles. And the fun thing about this car is the acceleration. But when you want to come down a road like this that's nice and curvy and fun, the car's so quiet. Like whenever I do this, when I'm doing normal reviews and it's like a louder car, I'm always like terrified that I'm going to get the police called on me because...
Yeah, you're disturbing the peace.
I'm disturbing the peace. Yeah, the car is being loud. I'm not really going like overly fast, but it's like I still worry that someone's going to get upset. Now, the one thing, like in this type of driving, the car doesn't really lean that much. It feels pretty good, but the brakes have kind of a weird feel to them where I'm not super confident in the brakes. Like I don't feel like I can fly up to a corner and do like really late braking.
But remember, that's already regenerating too, so you're already slowing down.
Yeah, it's
a different feel. Though.
It's a different feel. Like it doesn't. Obviously, it's not going to have the bite that like my Mustang has, but it. Man, this thing. It's fun on a back road, that's for sure. And Eli and his little hot hatch is really struggling to keep up. This is a hard car to beat. Like. To be honest with you, because it's very, very practical. As with all new cars on the Carguments YouTube channel, we are doing our patented Eli test. And this car, with not having its internal combustion engine in the front, you actually get a frunk. So we're going to see if Eli will fit in the frunk.
This is what you want me to get into?
Yeah, uh-huh.
Really?
Yeah. So the frunk doesn't pass anywhere near possible. Little joke trying to get Eli to come, but it does have a trunk. So let's go around back and see if the trunk passes the Eli test. So now along to the back here, we're going to test out, well, this is actually a pretty good sized trunk. And before we do the Eli test, I mean, it has another little storage area down under here, and it's actually very deep. There's like tennis rackets and stuff in here from Cody. So Eli, come on in and see what you do.
This guy.
I think you can do it.
No, I can.
Go for it.
I don't like that. I can't.
It might be if we can get you out. That might be
That's the thing. Actually, I might not be able to.
Dude, he's in. Can you get your feet in? He fits. It's super practical. He fits. Practical. It does a lot of really smart and intuitive things, and then it drives like this too. On top of it, I wish the seats were a little more bolstered, because I see you sliding around over there, and I feel like I'm kind of fighting it, you know. But man,
Kind of gives you a headache from that, all those forces, G-force.
all those.
Yeah, right there. That's the one.
It does make me like want to lose weight too, because I feel like my jowls being pulled back. It's a weird sensation.
It's kind of a free facelift though. In a way. You pull it on back.
It handles really well. So right now we're in autopilot, and I'm gonna trust it to take this. Should I? Will it?
Oh, it's fine.
Holy cow.
It sees the cars, yeah.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, it yielded a little bit there.
It saw those cars coming out.
Wow. And it did just fine through those curves. It is a little, I feel it kind of like going back and forth, like with the speed.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little hesitant.
This will be all right.
It sees traffic.
Yeah. It's following those lines, so
Yeah.
those lines kind of disappear.
It is kind of like,
You see your cars.
see the cars and everything. It is a little hit and miss. Like it's a little, back there is a little weird.
Mm-hmm.
But just a little things to refine.
Mm-hmm.
But it's, man.
And
So now it
now
should.
this here, you may have to take over here.
No,
Okay.
I found it. No. It's hard for you guys to see what we're looking at, but like there was a little offshoot to the right, and then where we wanted to go curved left, and it did it just fine. Yeah.
Yeah, if we navigate on autopilot, so you just came out of it.
Yeah, it said apply force for
Yeah.
some reason.
Yeah, you have to touch it every now and again.
Okay. So I was trying to keep my hand on it. So
Now
how
it's
do you
just
do that again?
adaptive cruise control. So if you want to go down 3 times, there you go.
Okay.
So now you're back in.
And it says please keep your hands on the wheel. But man, so how was this on the interstate? Did you on your trips?
It was great. So in town, this is just autopilot, but on the interstate, you can navigate on autopilot, which means it will take the ramps for you.
As long as you have like your destination in, and it'll.
Mm-hmm. On the interstate, it'll take the ramp if it's a designated ramp, you might say. So all you have to do with this is just kind of squeeze the steering wheel. You're good.
Okay. I want to see. Will it change lanes
Yes,
for me?
put your turn signal on and it'll pull it down all the way until it clicks. There you go. Now it'll look to see if it's safe. It's looking.
It didn't.
Pull all the way down. There you go.
It didn't like that because I think it went through an intersection, and that's what made
It'll
it not do
it'll
that.
shut the signal off too for you.
Man, it's so nice. So I imagine like interstate driving, that's just like it makes it super relaxing. Like you can kind of enjoy the scenery too. Like when you're going through the mountains out to North Carolina, that you could actually enjoy the trip a little bit more.
Yeah, and then the other thing you can do instead of squeezing the steering wheel, you can adjust the sound or the speed with those 2 little.
Okay. Yeah, because
that'll satisfy it that somebody's not sleeping. Basically.
Okay. Okay.
But yeah, it'll actually take the ramps. It was funny when we were in Cincinnati coming back, it needed to take the ramp, and I took over because I thought it was wrong, but it was right and I was wrong. And we ended up going back to Kentucky. So it knows.
That's funny.
But it is hard to trust it. It does take a little while to kind of get used to that.
So now this says 45 max is.
So you can adjust it to 5 over in autopilot.
Okay.
In
So
town?
it will allow you to speed a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
which I thought it wouldn't. I heard things that it wouldn't allow you to do that, but.
It's allowed to go 5 over. Now on the interstate, I think it's different though, because we can set it at about whatever you want. But you see, the auto steer is restricted to that.
Okay.
So I think on the interstate, it's a different animal because you're not doing as much tight turns.
There's a lot going on right now. I mean, when you really think about what a car has to think about here, so it keeps begging me to touch the wheel.
Yeah,
But-
it's a little bit annoying, but I've gotten to where I can actually rest my arm on the armrest and just apply pressure, and you can actually feel the steering wheel moving a
Okay.
little bit, and that satisfies it enough. So you kind of get where you just. Some people put their cell phones on it. Suppose that's heavy enough. That not recommended.
I wouldn't recommend that either.
No.
It is like It was a little like kind of scary going through those two curves back there because I was like, is it gonna do it?
Yeah.
It was.
But part of that had to do too, if you went back and looked at that, is the edge lines weren't real.
Yeah.
So that's what it's basically doing. I don't know what it'll do in the future when full autonomous is released. Will it be using more of a GPS system? I don't know.
Yeah, I wonder if. I mean, I imagine you'd have to put in some sort of destination for the autopilot to fully work, right?
Yeah,
You'd
that's
think?
the idea. That's
Yeah.
the idea behind that we call them robo-taxis, is what he's projecting to happen.
I've heard rumors too that there's talks of like if you lease a Model 3 and when you turn it in, it's actually going to be going to Uber, and Uber's wanting to use it for like an autopilot or an auto taxi type thing.
Yeah, it's its own taxi through Tesla, and supposedly anybody who buys full self-driving can register to be part of that fleet if they want. So it might be something we do. You got to kind of until it clicks in. There you go.
There it goes. Oh, Eli jumped over too soon, freaked it out.
Yeah.
There it goes.
But it's probably a little overcautious. That's one thing I can tell you. But what is bad about it, one thing I don't like about it, is that when I get into my Acura or any other car, because I don't even look in my rear view at all when you're in autopilot, you just use your turn signal.
Yeah.
It doesn't work in the other cars.
Like, come on.
Yeah, people are honking. It's not good. And I have to Sam reminds me, hey, you're not in the Tesla, you know, because it does change your behavior for sure.
I bet. So, one thing that I was always a little curious about in like owning a Tesla or a fully electric car is like heat in the winter and getting it cool in the summer. Does it take, like, if you were just to jump into the car without pre-doing anything, does it take a little bit longer than like what you expect from a normal engine, or is it about the same?
I think it's about the same. What I normally do is I don't even have the heat on that often anyways. I mean, right now I've got it set at like 65.
Yeah.
I turn my toaster oven on there, my bun warmer, and that pretty much heats up the car. But what I really like, in the summertime especially, is if I'm at the grocery store or wherever.
Now, will it come to a stop?
Yeah, yep. As long as there's a car there. And you can adjust how many car lengths too.
Yeah, it's doing it pretty smooth. And will it take off too?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So when you're in full, like when you're in this autonomy mode, it'll just... Wow.
It'll pretty much do it for you. And like I say, if you were on the interstate, it would take the ramp to the interstate and everything. So, but what
it's not hesitant to take off either.
No, it'll go. Yeah. See, it's kind of following this outside line there a little bit. So we just passed Casas there, and that's a free place to charge too.
Oh, okay.
On 24, yeah. So I haven't used that one yet, but that is one.
But yeah, so it's pretty much like day-to-day things are normal. It's just all the cool features are added in. Like you can watch Netflix and YouTube.
Yeah.
And
you have your video game thing that's available as well. Play video games on there. Can't do that while you're driving yet, but I do have karaoke now, and you can do that while you're driving. So that's kind of fun. You can pick any song out you can think of, and it'll have the words to it, and you can sing along there. But I think if you're going to buy a Tesla, you're better off to deal with Tesla Direct. I bought 2 other cars through another third party.
We talked about that on our podcast.
And that was just a disaster. There's too many things about this car that people just don't know yet. You know, I think with some time, maybe. Yeah. But really, with the prices coming down, they've came down twice since I've been looking. And so this car, we're at about $50,000. And then I sprung for the extra full autonomous driving, so it's like $56,000.
Yeah.
Now they just changed that. Now it's $7,000 for the full autonomous. They just raised that.
That seems like a weird add-on, because from what I understand, if you were to buy this car without the autonomous, it's like a software update. It's not really like
there is
anything.
A hardware and software thing though. I'm not 100% sure on that. I was under the impression that at one time it was a hardware thing, but it might just be a software. They keep changing it, so I guess I don't know.
I don't know.
But getting back to the whole heated situation and cool, I just use my app on my phone. So if I'm at the grocery store, I just go ahead and set the temperature, and within 3 minutes when I get out to the car, it's already heated up. So you'll never get in a cold car or a hot car again if you want, as long as you look at your phone and do it. And it'll do it. You don't have to be near the car at all. You can be across town and do it because it's using cellular. So
it's crazy. This thing is so cool. it does, like, I can see how that can make you sick if you do that over and over again. So
I've gotten up to 55 in my driveway. So
what? That's impressive that you've gotten that fast and been able to stop in time.
yeah, it's about a 300-foot driveway, but still.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. So overall thoughts on it. I really, really like the car. I mean, I keep getting in these cars like the Durango is a really fun of all worlds, you know, where it's practical, fun to drive, but this is like that, but times 10. The fun level is crazy good. The practicality is really good. I mean, it's not a huge SUV, so it's not going to be as practical, but you still have room for 5 people. It has the practicality in just like your technology is incredible. Like that kind of stuff really blows me away, because I can sit here and chat with you in Autopilot and not really be worried at all. You know, it's doing exactly what it needs to do, keeping us safe. So I really like this car. This makes me really want one of these for my wife or for myself as a daily driver. Like this
Sounds like you're leaning toward yourself a little bit.
Yeah, it's really fun. I mean, going back through West Hamilton Road down there, kind of pushing it, the car is really capable. It's really confident in the corners. It gives you an extra level of confidence too, because it's all-wheel drive. It's quiet. Like I said, I feel like I'm not drawing a ton of attention to myself when I'm driving a little stupidly, which is always a concern of mine. So overall, really love this car. I mean, love it. It's one of my favorites so far of the year.
Cool.
So thank you so much, Cody, for letting us drive this, and it was a ton of fun. Thank you for watching. Please check out our podcast. We try to podcast weekly. Check us out on Facebook and Instagram and get involved. Please don't forget to subscribe, and have an awesome day.
That was awesome.